I haven't dropped a podcast in a minute. I've been trying to do daily, but clearly that has not been the case. But anyways, here we are, episode 2 of... Damn, I kind of forgot the title for a second. Here we are, episode 2 of Professionally Unemployed. Very special episode today because I have my first guest here, and I've been wanting to get guests on this, but I told myself, and I told this gentleman here, that he had to be the very first guest. So let me introduce him. His name is Eli, also known by Build Your Tomorrow. Build Your Tomorrow.
Get it right.
We met about a year ago at a meetup that he was hosting, and just the struggles of, living in my room. My mom's calling me right now. Mom's
Sandy.
But anyways, we met a year ago because in this game, I realized that you can't really do anything on your own. So I was trying to find a team. I met Eli, and we've been working together since for about a year now.
I remember hosting that YouTube meetup because I was also trying to meet other people that were trying to create good content on YouTube and on the internet. And I remember sitting there, and all of a sudden, a chimp walks in and he has his tripod in his pocket. And I'm like, yo, this dude is walking around with a tripod in his pocket. So that right there told me that he was serious and committed. And it got my attention. So then I would later learn that we have similar backgrounds and similar mindsets, and we've been friends ever since. And so it's an honor to be on your podcast, and it's an honor to be the first one. Yeah, man.
Alright, so I'm going to let Eli just introduce himself while I go figure out what my mom wants. Just keeping it raw. You keep it going, bud.
So
tell about who you are.
So while Chip goes and deals with his mom, that's how it goes when you live at home. You gotta keep Mama Dukes happy. A little bit about me. Born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I've been working in finance ever since 2007. So I have work experience in finance. I have my education in finance, and so Build Your Tomorrow, my channel on YouTube, and my account on Instagram. And really, what I'm about is, trying to help people, trying to inspire people to move forward financially as best they can. And so any chance that I get to be on a platform, whether it's on a podcast, a video, or on a stage, I'm all for it because it's another opportunity for me to, spread my message of positivity, spread my message of, doing what you can to, save money and invest in yourself and get out of debt and move forward financially. So super excited to be on here.
Great. So you had a question. Do you want to kind of lead into it?
Now I just forgot.
You had a question.
So the question was, so you were messing around with the mouse, right?
Yeah.
Getting everything ready.
It sounded like a serious question.
Yeah, it was a really good question, but now I'm blanking. And of course I'm blanking as soon as you hit the record. So as soon as you hit the record button, it's like my brain shuts off. It's like I can't think.
So what'd you talk about? You basically just talking about who you were and stuff?
Yeah, pretty much gave my background. I started in finance in 2007, education, work experience in finance. My mission is to, inspire people to move forward financially through budgeting, saving money, investing in themselves. You can find me on YouTube, Build Your Tomorrow, Instagram _Build Your Tomorrow. So.
Word. So one of the main reasons why I wanted to get Eli on the podcast is because recently, I would say, he has made the full conversion onto being professionally unemployed. And in episode 1, I kind of went over what being professionally unemployed is.
That's right.
And I take pride in it.
Yeah.
Do you take pride in being professionally unemployed now?
Well, I think there's a big difference between you and me, Chimp. I'm 34. Okay, so when you are not working a corporate job at 34, I think society in large ways sees you like a little bit of a maybe like a bum or kind of like or like a guy that doesn't have it together, a guy that that doesn't know where he's going, he's all over the place. So that's my initial mentality, or my initial thinking when I think about my current situation. But then like I'm starting to reframe that mindset into, this is a guy that spent 11 years, in corporate America, paid off his credit cards, paid off his student loans, saved some money, learned a ton of stuff, met some great people, and now this is an opportunity, and the point where he now goes and starts his own thing, and so that's where some of the work that I'm doing internally is just switching that perspective from a guy that doesn't have it together to a guy that does have it together, and that essentially realizes like, in life, you get one chance to kind of do your thing. And so are you going to pursue your passions, live out your dreams, right? Or are you going to succumb to fear, succumb to all the anxieties that come with stepping out and kind of like doing your own thing? Like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And like 5 years ago, like I tried to step out, but eventually I succumbed because I had credit card debt, because I had student loans. But now I don't, and so now I've made the big decision, like Chimp said, to do my thing, man, and not succumb to the fear, not succumb to the all the comforts that making a good living working for someone else brings. Although you learn a lot, but really, get comfortable with being in the dirt, learn to be happy with close to nothing, and just do the best I can to spread my message, and uplift and empower others.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you say that, because when we first met, like, I didn't care at all about your age, and it's something that I've been thinking about recently. It's like, I feel like people spend too much time trying to impress people they don't even like. It's like you're just trying to put up a front to then impress the people that you want to be cool, but in a sense, it's like it's not self-fulfilling. Whereas when I first met you, I was just excited to have somebody on the same wavelength as me. It's like we're trying to conquer things. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in terms of like entitlement, and why I think it can sometimes and usually be a good thing, because I mean, you, like anybody else, is entitled to be happy and have a good life. So it's like, okay, that's great, you're 35 and I'm
34
and it took you this long to realize this, but it's like, okay, you're still entitled to a happy life. So it's like, if not now, then when? And you only have so much time on this planet. It's like, do it now.
Look, let me tell you something. It's so I'm 34 and I'm like, all right, bro. So starting where I'm starting, like my father has no connections.
Right.
My mom has even less connections, right? So my father has zero connections. My mom has negative connections. Okay, there is essentially I am starting from the bottom. Like all I have, Chimp, is my energy. All I have is the knowledge that's inside of my head. All I have is my spirit. All I have is me, right? And so I'm like, E, all right. So it's going to take us from where we're starting. It's going to take us a while. It's going to take us a minute, right, to be able to make a living doing this, right? And so you can either at 34 begin from where you are, right? And it's probably going to take, I don't know, maybe 6 years, 10 years, I don't know. But you can either begin now at 34 and be where you want to be by 40 or by 44, right? But one thing is for sure, if you don't do it now, you're not going to do it at 40. You're not going to do it at 44. So it's like I really see it in a lot of ways like it's either now or never for me. It's either I go and let my light shine now, or it's not going to happen. And like that's super clear inside of my head now, like in my mid-30s. And so I think that level of clarity like drives my conviction. It makes me comfortable kind of to take the risk that I'm about to take. It produces a certain level of fear because, there's a lot of unknowns, but, again, because I know that now is the time and I know that this is ultimately my path, like I stay committed to it, because like I've been in corporate America for a while. And again, corporate America, is great for a lot of people, right? But I've worked in corporate environments long enough to know that that's not my path. Again, you can make a good living, you can save money, you can pay down debt, and that's the reason why I did it for such a while, right? But at the end of the day, and it's the path for a lot of people, that's cool for them. But I just realize time and again, it's not something that I've realized over the last 6 months, something that I realized over the last year, but time and again over the years, like it's just been made clear where it's like, hey, E, like this is not your path. And I could either ignore it or like accept it, after a while, like you just have to accept, like, if something's for you, it's for you. If it's not for you, it's not for me. And so, again, knowing that if I don't let my light shine now, I won't. That in combination with just knowing that, corporate America is ultimately not for me. And then also having, like not having credit card debt because I budgeted for such a long time to pay that stuff off. Same with my student loan to set myself up, for this journey. Like that's what gives me the conviction and again the clarity to do this.
Dude, I mean, and I think that's so huge because like if you think about it, like let's think about it for a second. Like how many other Eli's are there, And I think the strength that you're displaying at in your position of your life, and I think the fact that you're able to like step out of your comfort zone and actually do something about it. I think us having the ability to do this and then we talk about how like we really want to help people. If we take this moment and really move to inspire and do something about it, imagine what we could do at a much more larger scale. And this is why I love the title of this podcast so much, because it stands for being professionally different. We're going against the grain. We're going against what people want us to be, and we're being ourselves. We're not being what we're pressured into being, what everybody else wants us to be. And I think in us finding our truth, we can help people anywhere in the world be comfortable finding their own truths. And I think if you have the ability to help other Eli's in the world, then dude, mazel tov.
Dude. So last night, I did a live. We were talking about this earlier, right? So I went on IG, I did a live, about, 10 people, turned on. I turned on the live and I think maybe they lasted about 30 seconds each. Right? Then I went on YouTube. One person showed up for about 45 seconds and then disappeared. So essentially the point there is just like, it's nobody showed up really to the live, right? Yeah. So afterwards, I was going through my phone, right? Just because I wanted to kind of just talk to someone that was, that could relate to the struggles of an entrepreneur, right? So I literally went to my contacts on the iPhone, I was scrolling through, and I just saw name after name after name of people that I knew couldn't understand, and so it's it's just like an indication that, to go down this road, you are different. Yeah, you're not different just from one or two people. You're different from a whole lot of people, and there are not many people that are really going to understand what it's like, and you could listen to this podcast, you can consume our content, but it's not until you're living it on a day-to-day basis that you really start to understand what it's like, to build something from scratch. Mm-hmm. And so, when we come together, so right before this podcast, we were at Starbucks and, we talk. I think one of the things that makes it super powerful, it's like this dude understands, what it's like. Like, he understands. Like, and so all of a sudden it's like, you feel like you're not alone. Like, you have someone that's with you, like, on this journey, and that is very, 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 very healing, because it's difficult. Mm-hmm. And when it gets super hard, not that, it's, I think part of you, when it gets super hard, especially in the beginning when you don't have much traction, just finding other people that are trying to figure it out is very healing. It's very empowering. It's very motivating, very inspiring. So, that's the reason it was a pleasure to meet up this morning. That's the reason I said yes, to meeting up this morning, just because it's like, the more that you're around other people that are on your same journey, the better. And so, yeah.
I think that's a great transition to kind of what we were talking about just before we started. Over the past few days, I met up with this guy, fantastic guy, named Carlos Gill, and, every time I meet with somebody older than me and they share all this wisdom, we came across this topic of basically just having a hustle, the idea of a hustle house.
Yeah.
And it's the idea basically of just constantly being around positive people on the same wavelength as you that want to push and reach the same goals that you want to reach. And I mean, I was talking to Eli about this, and this is why me and Eli connected in the first place, because I like being around people that will push me and support me. And surviving in the family that I'm in, it was never that. Like, I never had that. I was always my own cheerleader. But now, in this environment, it's like I can do it on my own, but I don't want to. I want to be surrounded with people. I want to help. I want to be part of a team. At the end of the day, I don't want to do it alone. Because then, what's the point of being successful?
Well, Chip, I would push back and tell you that you are doing it on your own. Like, essentially, you're building your own brand, right? I mean, okay. So I would say that you're doing it in parallel with other people. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're doing it together. It's I'm doing my thing, Chimp is doing his thing. But
I'm not saying we're going for the same goal. I'm saying we're hustling together.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, like kind of like the same reference I had before to like the agency and like sitting in an office. Like, I'm working on what I'm working on. You're working what you're working on, but we're working together. Yeah. And just seeing that and just being reminded and just being in the environment of work. Like when I don't know if you felt this, but when I walked into Vayner, you could feel it. You could feel the work. And they weren't even there. They weren't even there. And I could feel the intensity, the passion, I was like, dude, I want to sit down and start working now.
Yo, dude, it's like as soon as you walked in there, it was a Sunday. There was nobody in there. Right? But as soon as you walked in there, like, it's like your vision of yourself was elevated. Yeah. Right? It's like, holy shit, I'm actually in the offices of Gary Vee and his team. Uh-huh. So all of a sudden, like, inside you're like this is like a level of success that I've reached. Like, not everybody like gets to sit in the office where Gary Vee sits. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So the vision of yourself automatically increased. But what I wanted to also say, Chimp, about the Hustle House, right? That's such a great word, by the way. Hustle House, right? Yeah, sounds good. It's what I also wanted to tell you was right? And you know, look, I think like I am very transparent, right? Or at least I'm trying to be more transparent, because I feel like the more transparent that I am about my struggles, right? The more that I can help others, because somebody else might be like, yo, I struggle with the same thing that he's struggling with, right? And so let me tell you, like I've often been surprised by how easy, right, or how quickly my mind can go from, you know, being focused on the mission, you know, on building, you know, on letting my voice be heard, on building my brand, gathering an audience, like, you know, focus on that, to all of a sudden, you know, being fearful, all of a sudden, you know, questioning, you know, my ability to, you know, make this happen, all of a sudden, questioning whether I'm doing the right thing, all of a sudden questioning whether this can ever happen, you know, and you know, it's like sometimes the positive, inspired Eli has the microphone, and that voice is louder, but then other times the doubt and the concern and the worries have the mic, and their voice is louder. And I've been surprised at how easily the mic can be transferred to these guys, you know. And so when you talk about the Hustle House, right, and just coming together and being in a room where we can feed off of each other's positivity, it's huge, because essentially what you're doing is you're taking the mic away from these, you know, from like the negative side of you, right? You know, the doubts and the concerns and the worries and the fears, you know. So whether it's you know, and so whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, but I think in person there's so much more value. Like it can just help, because again, it's internally for me, and maybe for anyone that's listening, it's like there's that constant struggle between, you know, who has the mic, and I, you know, and I think obviously, you know, the way that you move forward is through, you know, giving the mic to the positive side, right? Or, you know, or even when that, or just being aware when the mic is on the other side. You know, when the doubts, the worries, the concerns, when they have the mic, just knowing, hey, these guys just have the mic. Okay, so I know that they have mics. What can I do? Okay, so let me, you know, hit up Chimp. Let me watch a YouTube video. Let me consume something positive, right? Let me change that mindset wherever you is, whether it's, you know, it's easier to do it when you're with other people. But even if you're not around other people, right, if you're by yourself, right, just maybe closing your eyes and just being aware, okay, the doubts and the concerns, they have the mic, okay, let me just think of you know, of past successes, you know, let me find a way to switch my perspective.
Dude, it might sound, I mean, I know it won't sound stupid to you, but it might sound stupid to other people, but I literally have been making it my mission every day to watch at least one video from Gary Vee. It's crazy how that few minutes of content can set up the momentum for the rest of my day. I struggle with being, and it might not sound like a struggle, but I struggle being the most positive person in the room. And it's when people come to me for positivity and all the, you know what I'm saying? Like, people come to me for positivity, and when I don't have somebody else to give me positivity is when I start feeling to collapse. It's when I start resorting to my addiction, which is fucking playing video games, and I want to disappear from my world and jump into another one, because I don't have the positivity or the confidence to continue in doing what I was doing. Because, like, I look around the room, I look at the environment, I know where I am, I know that I don't want to be here, but when I don't have that source of positivity or that push, I just don't want to be here. And I know that playing video games is my escape. So it's crazy how my mindset has shifted from just pushing myself to consume positivity and watching Gary Vee's videos and just like literally putting the positivity and forcing it into myself, and it has changed me big time, you know. Like, it's why I love meeting up with you so much, because it's like it's people come to me for positivity, but when I meet with you, it's like I hear it from you, and then the next day it's like boom, working.
Yeah, you know, it's It's, I think, like, that thing of, what's my point here? It's essentially, it's when you feel like you're alone, right? Or maybe that's not what I'm trying to say. But essentially, dude, it's, I got you. I feel the exact same way. It's, I think that one thing that when you're feeling that way, right? I think there's a part of you that kind of doesn't want to reach out. I mean, so let me speak for myself. Sometimes when I'm like down, or like I'm struggling, maybe my mindset isn't where it needs to be. Like I hesitate to pick up the phone and call someone that I know, can understand. Let's say you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I think it's like, yo, dude, is Chip gonna think like I'm whining? Like, yo, is he gonna think that I'm complaining? Like, is he gonna think like, yo, here comes Eli again with his negativity? You know what I'm saying? But it's, but in essence, what's going on is just like the doubts, the worry, the concerns. They have the mic. You're caught up in that stinking thinking, and the right thing to do in that moment is just is be like, no, like Chimp will understand
Because we're going through the same
because he's going through the same thing. So pick up that phone, call that guy, set up a meeting. Like, don't be afraid to kind of like voice like your emotions and what you're going through, because exactly. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable, because that's the way out. That's the way to get that mic to switch to that other side, and that's essentially what we're looking for.
That's taking control, because your emotions are the fundamentals and like the foundation of who you are.
And so we were talking about this before the podcast. It's when it comes, it's so Gary Vee talks about being in the dirt and how entrepreneurship is hardcore dirt for a very, very long time. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking about like just one thing that we got to do is like we got to be comfortable. We got to be happy in the dirt. Like, to say, hey, we're going to, be in the dirt for 5 years, and then all of a sudden we're not going to be in the dirt, and then that's when we're going to be happy. That's, you're setting yourself up for major, major failure, because first, success isn't guaranteed. Yes, you can work hard. Yes, all these things, but at the end of the day, there's so
drop dead from a heart attack,
and there are so many things outside of your control.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to survive, right, what has to happen is first, you've got to be happy in the dirt. Like, be completely happy with the dirt. Like, and what I mean by the dirt is living with your mom, or sleeping on the floor, being in, the projects, or living somewhere where you're not necessarily super comfortable, and just finding a way to be happy there, right? And then finding pleasure in the work, the amount of work, my man, that it's going to take for us to get things moving in the right direction, and for that work to be our vacation.
Yeah.
Like, are you hearing what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, it's and I'm thinking about it like right now. Like, we're sitting here, and as you're saying that, I'm like, damn, like we're working right now.
Yo,
and there's no better feeling. Like,
this is a vacation.
I'm getting stuff done. I was talking to Eli before this, like. When I went on my 6-month vacation, and I was partying all the time, I was drinking all the time, I was sleeping all the time, and it's when I had the realization within myself that this is not making me happy. I don't like this. I'm bored. I'm sad. I'm depressed. What I want to do is I want to go back to New York. I want to be surrounded by people that are positive. I want to work. I want to hustle. I want to grind. I want to, like, that's what I find fun. Like, if I'm not doing that, if I'm not doing what my full potential is, then I'm not happy. And I want to just go ahead and do a little outro for the YouTube video that we're recording right now, because we're 30 seconds in, the camera's about to stop. If you want to watch or listen to the rest of this podcast, make sure you tune in. It's going to be linked in the description, and you can watch the rest there, because we're going to be talking about some pretty interesting things. So if you want to listen to the rest of this podcast, make